Welcome to the Summit Lab podcast. This is a place where I explore ideas about photography, creativity, family, and the long road of trying to build something meaningful. I'm Chris, and this is the Summit Lab. This week didn't go as I expected. I set out to shoot portraits of nature, but that's not really what happened. I think I actually started to see what makes an image interesting. And it's not just that subject, but it's the entire story. And I'll talk more about that. But this week might have been my biggest step forward yet. Bear with me because I took some notes because I had to formulate my thoughts. So last week's experiment was to create portraits of nature. And my initial thought was, okay, just take a portrait of something interesting and use the rest of the image to support that subject. But it didn't really work out that way. And I was finding interesting subjects, but I couldn't quite figure out how to put the story together. And I'm thinking, like, what does a story even mean in an image? And so I'll say this up front. The one thing that really helped me was getting out and exploring. One image I took in my backyard. I didn't have much time, but every other day this week, I went out somewhere. I actively got in my car and went somewhere to go take a photo. And that was really exciting. It was fun to get out, and it was also fun to go just explore and look for things. And so what I really tried to do was just let scenes come to me and not force shots. I wasn't just taking images just to take an image because something looked interesting. I was trying to look at different angles or how I could get one of the quote unquote rules of photography to enhance the image, like leading lines or maybe filling the frame with something, always putting on the rule of thirds and that sort of thing, but just really trying different angles to make the subjects that I found interesting. I would walk up to places and I'd see something that caught my eye and I'd think, okay, there's something here. And I would just stop and try and figure out how to make it interesting in an image. And that was really cool because it slowed me down and it made me think. It made me tweak things and try different apertures and different shutter speeds. I was dealing a lot with water, and so getting motion in the water versus freezing the water, or depth of field with aperture, and just trying these different things. And honestly, sometimes it just didn't work. Sometimes I was like, I know there's something here, but I can't figure it out, and I've got to move on. And so again, I wasn't just trying to capture something just to capture something. I was intentionally trying to make images interesting. And so that was really fun. What I realized was that it really helps if you have something in the foreground and then a midground and in the background. It's kind of like a story. You layer it in depth. You layer the beginning, the middle, and the end. And when I started thinking about it that way, instead of just thinking about a subject, I started seeing a story. I started seeing the beginning, the middle, and the end. And that's when things really started to click. And I never even really thought about taking these portraits of nature. It was just about composing the image structure in a way that made it interesting. It really forced me to understand how I was looking at things, It made me very aware of the things that were in the frame. A lot of times there was a lot of distractions that just didn't make sense to be in the frame. So I'd sometimes change my angle, or that's where I'd play with aperture to blur things out. Um, it was really cool. So that was really fun. I did want to go on a little side tangent because I mentioned last week that I was going to be doing a portrait session. And so we went to Capitola, which is on the California coast, beautiful city on the Pacific Ocean. And I shot some portraits, and I actually had a lot of fun. I shot with my Canon gear, and I took that 100mm macro that I was talking about with my 24-70, and it kind of started off slow, and I had to understand what I was doing and really take time to make sure I was doing it right. But once things started flowing, it was just fun. Just having the person pose in different positions and looking at the light and backlighting and shadows and where the sun was and hot spots, like with the sun just hitting certain parts of her face. It was just great. I had a whole lot of fun. It started feeling natural as the shoot went on. We probably spent an hour and a half shooting. I shot like 7,000 images. Granted, a lot of it was just on, just a high speed shutter to capture a lot real quick. But it was really fun. And so I realized a couple things there. One, I was just having fun creating, doing something different. That was really cool. It was fun actually working with a person. Maybe it's because I'm comfortable with this person. I know them. Again, they're a family friend, so there wasn't like that awkwardness of not knowing this person very well. And I had a lot of fun using my Canon gear. And what I realized is when I got the Sony, my initial intent in getting this was I was going to sell all my Canon gear and switch everything over to Sony. And I'm really glad I didn't. I love that Canon gear. Again, I'm shooting all three of these shots right here are on the Canon right now. And this is the only Sony that I own. And this is the only Sony lens that I own. I do love this though. This is so fun for those everyday shots. But if I'm going to go out and do something big, I'm probably going to bring my Canons. Like if I have like a set shoot, or if I'm going to try and capture something in particular, I'm probably going to bring the Canon stuff just because I feel more comfortable with it. I've got more lenses. But again, I'm loving the Sony for just that everyday small camera, being able to carry it around, capturing moments. So yeah, that was really fun. I had a good time with that. What I also learned this week, I talked a little bit about this last week, was that I was starting to create like reels and things like that. And I've really been enjoying that too. Like I've started to create reels and these little short videos. And what I found is that less of my time is being spent scrolling through social media, and it's been spent more on actually creating things myself. And I love that. Like that is it's almost like a relief. It's freeing to be doing things yourself versus just watching what everybody else is doing. It's just starting taking photos has really channeled my creativity and expanded it. Now, with that has come a lot of hard drive space being taken up very quickly. When I went to go download all the images from the portrait shoot from Capitola, I got about 1,700 images in off the first card, and my drive, I didn't even realize how close it was to being full, but it was full. And so back when I was photographing a lot 10 years ago, I had a full like RAID system set up with different hard drives that would back things up. And I had this whole system, and I still have it, but I don't really remember how to use it. I could probably figure it out. But there's a lot of data that's still on those drives. And so I ended up getting a new system. I went with OWC. I got like a really fast SSD drive that I can edit from with all my current projects. And then I got a RAID system, which is basically just, it's two hard drives that write the same thing to each other. So I can back everything up, and it's on two drives. So if one of those drives were to fail, I have another one for redundancy. So I actually just got done backing up everything. The drive's kind of loud, and it actually just finished, which is nice because I wanted to record this so it's not buzzing in the background. But I still have a little bit of work to do. I'm working, I found this program. It's called Carbon Copy something or other. I don't know. It's a program for a Mac where you can automate backups. So like if you plug in one of your drives, it automatically will start writing to wherever you told it to go write on your bigger storage system, which is really awesome because it just automates things. You don't got to think about moving things around and getting them in the right place. And I really love that part of this too. I love creating the structures of how things are filed and organized, and I like to keep it really clean. If anybody is interested in that, feel free to reach out. I know it's boring for most people. So what I also wanted to touch on is I started doing this last week was take a photo a day, and that really worked for me. It made me get out and shoot images, and I really liked it. And so I decided to continue to keep doing it. So right now, today was day 12 of that, and I love it, but it's also very tough. I go and like I said, I've been actually getting in my car and going out to certain places. I probably won't do that all the time. I'll start trying to incorporate photo shoots into my everyday life, but I wanted to get out and challenge myself this week. And so I did that, and it's been tough because it's been like late nights because I go out and I shoot, and then I get home, I spend time with the family. And then what's been really cool actually is my older kid went with me 4 nights. I think he went 4 nights with me out to 3 nights. 3 nights. He went 3 nights because one of the nights he had a baseball game, and while he was warming up, they have like a little open space preserve next to the field where he was playing, and so I went in there and took some photos when he was warming up. But 3 of the nights we went out and we went on a hike and saw deer and really cool birds. We saw bald eagles. I mean, really cool ducks. I saw a wood duck. It's my favorite kind of duck, and I saw one of those. It's been really fun. So it's been spending time with him and also getting out and exploring, which has been really great. So those are some of the positive sides. But again, it's been late nights. I get home late. I'm normally editing these photos at like 11 or 12 o'clock, which again, we're at 11:40 right now. And I'm recording this. So this is definitely taking time out of my day. But on the flip side, it is so rewarding because I'm getting outside, I'm hiking, I'm taking photos. I have that love for photography again. I'm loving the editing process. I'm loving that I'm not sitting on social media all day. I've been writing more. I've been editing and creating. It's just, I'm creating more now than I'm consuming. And that is so exciting. I cannot tell you how good it feels to be doing that. And so I was struggling a little bit with what I was going to do this next week for my next experiment. And I was thinking I want to keep growing and keep expanding. And what I thought might help me next week was doing like some street photography, which really I don't really enjoy street photography either. Like, again, my passion is landscape and nature photography. That's what I love. But there's something about street photography that um, makes you look for different things than you would typically look for in landscapes. For me, landscapes is always about just beautiful um, scenery and things like that, and that can be really interesting. Whereas, like, if you're in a congested area in like a city or town or whatever, it's you have to be more deliberate with your composition, and what that typically entails is looking for more um, um, creative light and shadows and different things like that. But what I realized is that I can incorporate that into landscape. So this week, I'm going to call the experiment Chasing Light. And what I mean by that is it's both light and shadows. I'm not going to necessarily going to be looking for just a subject anymore. I will be, obviously, but I more so want to find beautiful light and creative shadows, and maybe even make that the subject, make light and shadow the subject versus like a physical object. And so I'm excited about that. So again, I'm going to be looking for like shadows and contrast and the direction of light, and using light to maybe isolate a subject or create some mood around it. And just kind of help guide the eye in the way that I've been developing my compositions. So I'm really excited to try that. I'm a little bit nervous about it. I think it's going to be really hard, but I'm excited. If it's anything like this week, it may start off pretty slow, and then I'll start to learn some things and pick it up. But what I tying back in the everyday photos, I think that's really great that I'm going to continue to do this, because again, it forces me to get out and try these things, even if it's rushed. Tonight, honestly, when I went out was really rushed. I was trying to get home for dinner, and I wasn't really feeling it. Like, the place I went, I wasn't really feeling it. It was really pretty, but and the light was okay. It was good. The light was good, but I couldn't capture what I was trying to capture. I had this like vision of what I wanted, and I couldn't find subjects that I could do what I wanted to do. And so quite honestly, it was a bit frustrating. But overall, I ended up getting an image that I'm pretty happy with, and I'll share that tomorrow. It's more of just like a basic landscape image, but the part that I really enjoyed about it, and what didn't really click until I got home and saw it on the computer, I think subconsciously it clicked, was that I had a foreground, I had a middle of the frame, and then I had a anchor, if you will, a subject, and it all just kind of worked. I'll describe the image and then I'll share it tomorrow, but it's this tree on the left side with a river leading off into the distance to a bridge at the end, and then off ultimately into like the hills and the clouds. And I think it worked. There were some kayakers like down in the water, which I blurred them a little bit because I didn't want to really distract from what I was trying to do. But anyways, I think it worked out really well. And again, I think subconsciously I realized it, but it didn't really click until I got to the edit. And that actually makes me think about something. There's a YouTuber. He's a filmmaker, but he's most known on YouTube. His name is Casey Neistat, and he's been a huge inspiration for me. If you don't know him, you should check him out. He makes like short movies. He did a vlog probably 10, 11 years ago, where he did a vlog every day. And his goal was to create something every day, create a movie every day. And they are the most uniquely creative edits that I think probably have ever been created, at least that I've seen. They're just amazing. And what he talks about is in his talks and things like that about teaching people how to do filmmaking is he says a lot of times you find the story in the edit. You just go capture things and you'll find the story in the edit. And that's what happened tonight. I thought the shot was good when I took it, but again, I didn't realize it until I got to the edit and I was like, oh, there it is. Like, that's what I saw. And so I tried to bring that to life in the edit. So anyways, that was this week. Next week is going to be chasing light, again, looking for light and shadows and contrast and isolating subjects. So that should be fun. Going to be challenging, but going to be fun. I'm going to continue to do the photo every day. I'm putting those on Instagram. If you guys want to follow me there, it's at Summit Lab Studio. And so in closing, I didn't do the experiment I thought it was. I didn't shoot portraits of nature, but I learned something that I thought was much more important. And I'm starting to see stories and not just subjects. And next week, I'm going to follow the light and see where that takes me. So again, I thank you all for listening and following along. This is the Summit Lab podcast, experiments in creativity, storytelling, and building a meaningful life.